Excuse me.
No, it's all good. Good morning, all. Today's episode is episode 52.
1 year, Charlie.
1 year and a full deck of cards. That's progress. Yeah,
Yes.
1 year. Wow. All right. And today's topic is communication. Of course, that's a great word, but boy, thought of the onion peeled back and noticing when yeah, maybe relationships are a little like something's not working, or at work, or your boss, or things um, are causing you tension and you're not clear. Sometimes what is said is not what we hear, and sometimes what we say is not heard the way we want that it to be heard, and that is falls on both parties. And that's what we're going to talk about today is just shut up and listen. No, I'm only kidding. Uh, so you guys know who I am, Charlie Collins, and I'm excited now because we hit 52 episodes, and we are constantly looking at ways to serve, to deliver language in a concise and communicate principles and things that can help move us forward. And that's exciting because it helps me, and because we all want to be able to transmit what we do have.
Right, right. Hi, Charlie. My name is Brenda Hayden. I'm founder of Time for 10. We're an emotional awareness, emotional intelligence coaching service, and we help people get to their 0 to 7 programming. We help them examine their disturbances and get to the exact nature of what's really bothering them, because you're never upset for the reason you think you are. And I'm co-host of this Blindsided podcast. I'm excited to be here today, episode 52. And you said something important there, Charlie. I do this first and foremost, really to share and transmit what's been so freely given to me through school, through 12 steps, through life experience. And I do it for myself. Like, I always leave this podcast a little bit better than when I started it. And of course, we are here to serve. So thanks to all the people that are here and on the live. And let's talk about communication. I love this topic. And by the way, Charlie, I love your new background. It's
Well,
really
thank you.
nice. Really
I
nice.
love
Look at that.
lighting.
The lighting's great.
Well, I just love different temperatures of lighting for different things, and it's one of my. I have a lot of flashlights and different. I love lighting
Yeah.
because I need more of it. I need to communicate with myself. Like, I'm struggling in a room or an environment due to older lighting or not real good lighting, and I have an eye disease. So what can I do about that? How can I communicate with myself to solve this problem? Now, Brenda, you said we like to bring things through our experiences, and we also, those experiences and these things that we are able to offer also came from our suffering, our denial, our selfishness, our struggles in life that we finally took a look at and stopped letting them, all of them or some of them, break down my communication. When I'm in a place of selfish, thinking of me, and it's I don't communicate well. I don't communicate well because I need you to hear me. I need you to understand and then fix whatever I'm not willing to take a look at.
Yeah. And you know what, Charlie? One of the things that you just said that I think is really important, and we talk about it, we talk about this kind of in a roundabout way through a lot of our podcasts and the topics that we choose. But we're not just sitting up here and doing these hour-long shows every week as experts in anything, right? We're experts in our life experience. And we have actually gone to hell and back on a variety of different levels throughout our lives. And we come here and we share those experiences, what it was like, what happened, and what it's like now. And we try and share the things that brought us from deep despair and deep failures and deep challenges into, we both have thriving, successful lives today. And how we got from that place, for me, from that place of just desperation and addiction and all of the things that go along with that, a very abusive childhood in every way you can imagine, to a thriving, secure, being of service adult, comfortable in my own skin. Because, when you go through those experiences, a lot of people get stuck in the experience and they don't know how to get to the other side of it and be whole. And you and I have been helping people to do that through the coaching, through the podcast. I'm building an app that's going to be helping people. Travel the country and you speak. I don't do that. It's not,
Yet.
someday I will. I don't do that yet. I deliver content in other ways on TikTok, on my YouTube channel, which now has 123,000 subscribers. So there's different ways that I deliver that life experience to people in hopes that people will watch it and say, hey, if she can do it, right? If I can come from the depths of addiction and that kind of childhood to the place I'm at today, if she can do it, I can do it. Because there's nothing special about me that got me here today, other than, well, communication has a lot to do with it, doing what's right in front of me and having faith that if I do that, something good's going to come out on the other end.
Yeah,
so good morning. Sorry, good morning to the people on the chat. Glad that you're here.
Oh, and Brenda, where does it all start from? Surrendering, and which opens the channel, which engages a bit of willingness to dip my toe into a new version of me that I have no idea what it is. But I mean, deep down, I thought I knew, but that's what it did. And getting honest, like, okay, this is the deal. So there's a miscommunication gap. The miscommunication gap, and it's in corporate all over the place. It's in relationships. It's not so much that I hear you, I see you, and what you say is important. It's I don't follow, and I'm not going to ask because I don't want you to think I'm stupid. Like you just said something, and oh yeah, okay. You ever do? Well, I have done that many times. Okay, yeah. And then I don't really know. But now I say, no, this is what I heard. Am I hearing you correctly? Is this the point you're trying to make? And it's not to, Brenda, feedback is great. Oh, thank you for clarifying, helping me see what I'm trying to convey better. It works both ways.
It does, Charlie. One of the beautiful gifts of coaching and executive coaching too. I've just I've taken some pretty heavy duty executive coaching courses at Columbia, and I was doing this before I took those classes, and it's active listening and reflecting back what the person says, right? And because when you're working with somebody, it's really important that they feel, and this is whether you're doing executive coaching or you're doing emotional awareness coaching or emotional intelligence coaching, or you're even sitting down with a friend, right?
Yeah.
When somebody says something to you and you say it back to them. So, if I understand correctly, this is what I'm hearing, just like what you just said. Here's what I heard. That other person immediately feels validated, comforted, heard, seen. And when a person is in that mode of feeling those feelings, validated, comforted, heard, seen, they're more in their heart center instead of their fear center. When they're in their fear center, they're not using their entire brain. They're not really coherent, fully coherent. They're not able to process things. But when they feel heard, you're going to get more out of them. They're going to be more open to suggestion, right? And they're going to feel like you're allied with them. And really, if you're allied with them, that's when you're in a position to be able to help them, because that's the goal, right? Even if you're doing any kind of executive coaching or you guys are working on a project together, if they don't feel separated from you, because that's the problem with the universe, is what we like to call separation sickness. She's better than me. She makes more money than me. There's a power gap here. All these things that separate us. But when we're connected, that's when all the magic happens. And communication is the way that we connect with one another. So what are the things that we can do to foster people feeling connected? Is exactly what you said. You reflect back to them what they just said so that they feel seen and heard.
It also works great in sales if you're it's the intention of being and doing the right thing for the person you're working with. It's wonderful because they get more excited to close the deal. Because wow, you are listening and you care, and empathy is in there. And Brenda, that vulnerability comes out easier. I'm not blocked by my filters and all those things and biases and perception and culture and what I think I should be and do and have. All of a sudden this vulnerability and and that calming. And when I went to Jack Canfield's many conferences, but the very first one, like the first day, he's up talking about a safe space and environment. And I'm like, well, I'm sure there's police in this town, and I have no idea what that means. And then he explained it. We want you to move from here into here. I don't know what that means. Back then, I'm like, okay. And when we're up here, we're filtering, we're doing what isn't going to help move us forward for the most part. But when we drop down to here and we can be more vulnerable, we are listening with an intent to help. And people are hearing you with the same intent. Watch what's going to happen this week. I was blown away, because I didn't get it. It's kind of like do now, get later. Why do I got to write this whole fourth step? Do now, understand later. And as the week progressed, I was like, I haven't felt this connected. I haven't felt this validated, important, and that I can ever remember.
Absolutely. And I've talked about this before. So if we're living in this little box, that's it. If we're just living in our head, our creativity is actually limited. It's limited. We have 41,000 neurons in our heart. We have 100 million neurons in our gut, right? This huge electromagnetic field that goes out 8 feet, right? And we're going to work from here on a sales call. And when we're working from up here, we're working from training, we're working from knowledge. We're just working from the brain, right? But we are spirit, mind, and body. We're all of those things. When I'm coaching with somebody, right? I'm in my heart. I'm using all my neurons to connect to their energy. And when I connect to their energy connects to mine, and I get information. I get information that gives me the ability to respond to them in a way that's meaningful to them, because energy is energy. It connects, it talks, it's a language of its own. And the same thing happens when you start dealing with people from that perspective. You take the mask off and you become your authentic self, and you are so much more creative. And your creativity, when you're in spirit, which is inspired in spirit, it's contagious. The other person senses that, and they become in spirit. And now you're using the entire unit, the entire spirit, mind, body in a collective way for change or for some kind of creativity thing. You are going to understand that man or woman or company's needs much better when you're in that space than you are from this space. You just got more stuff to work with. It's just do the math. It's phenomenal how that works.
It is. I did it. I used to speak for AER. It's educational. It's teachers of the visually impaired. It's the VA system. All sorts of professionals are in this organization, and I would go to their events and speak. And I did my maximize your vision, maximize your environment. So whatever, and and I would get to my E plus R equals O, how to take 100% responsibility. Now I have my slides, and I have my message, and I have people in an audience, and I can't know how they all receive and do things. So you try to do a presentation to reach everybody. And that's why good presenters, like, you want to open and get them laughing, take down the what's going to happen. What is he going to make me do? You take that down so they start to feel, and then they receive better. So I'm doing my whole E plus R equals O and everything. And I get feedback forms. And a couple people said, I wish you explained this better and gave us more examples. And I'm like, well, you're stupid. I mean, I took it personal right away. I took it like, you don't get it. And then I saw another one and another one. And I went, oh, see, Brenda, like I understand certain things pretty dang well. And if I'm telling you who you have no knowledge of it, I got to speak in a way that the neurons start connecting the information, not like, I don't understand why you don't get that. You take the third note of a major chord and you drop it a half step. And that half step turns it into a minor. And now you can have a minor chord. It's like, now go do it.
That's Greek to them. Yeah. So, and that's the beauty of understanding when you get to a place where you understand that your perception, the way that you take in information, access it, process it, and then use it, isn't the next guy's the way the next guy does it. The next guy has his own set of stuff that he's taking things in or she's taking things in, right? And it may be all Greek to them. And that's why when you're working with somebody or you're giving a presentation, like they taught us, you engage the audience immediately. You pull them in. I try and start when I'm doing my presentations at school and I speak, I try and start by engaging them in some kind of deep breathing, meditation, or I pose a question that everybody could answer so that they feel involved. So you engage them on some level. And then with the reflecting back, with the active listening and reflecting back, you ask questions so that you can understand how they're seeing things. Like, well, what does that look like for you? What does it look like? When somebody isn't understanding what I'm saying or how I'm interpreting something, I ask them. It's not about me. I'm supposed to know. How am I supposed to know what what your belief system is, what your experiences have been, all of these things that shape the lens that you take in information and respond to it. The lens that you see the world comes from all of those experiences. I'm not in your head. I don't know what that is. I don't know how you're going to perceive something. You need to
Well,
tell me.
hold on, Brenda. Was there a day you thought you knew?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I couldn't understand why nobody else knew because seemed just simple to me. Yeah. But you know how big my world was back then? Really, really small. It was it's when you think you know, right? When you think you know what anyone else is thinking, feeling, seeing, or even worse, you think that they should be seeing, thinking, and feeling it in a certain way. That's called playing God. That's called playing God. That's like my way's the only way, my way's the best way. No, your way is one of a billion ways. One of a billion. Or how many people are on the planet? 8. Your way is one of 8 billion ways. One. It's not the way, it's not the right way, it's just a way. And it works for you. It's probably not going to work for other people. It works for you.
Which confused the heck out of me. Mean what you say what you mean. Don't believe what you think what you believe. I mean, there's so many ways to challenge this. And then when I do that, Brendan, I say, I thought the way I do it works for me. And I feel, or I should say, and I think if I share that with you, you should do it that way because then it will work for you. And then someone's like, no. I'm like, well, back when I wasn't clear, I would take that personally, like, well, you're judging the way I do it. It freaking works for me. And you're just an idiot if you don't follow me.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's like, I thought I knew. And now the person says, well, this is how it will work for me. And I go, wow, that is really cool way to look at it. And I learn more. and I get more better at things. And so, Brendan, one other area is needs and wants.
Well, hang on a second. I want to say one more thing about that before we move on to needs and wants. The whole process that we call awakening, everybody hears about it today. Oh, great awakening. The whole process that we call awakening is stopping, pausing, and challenging the belief system that you're running on. The things that you think are the way it should be done. saying, wait a minute, is it even true? Well, one of the things that I found in, because I was looking at the world like this, just as Brenda sees it, because this is what works for me, then instead of looking at the entire planet and all its people, places, and things, right? And, one of the things that happened for me when I started challenging some of my hardcore, this is the way it should be beliefs, was they weren't even true, Charlie. They weren't true. I wasn't living in reality. There were things that I didn't want to look about myself, look inward. I didn't want to look at certain things about myself and the way I was doing it because I didn't want to change. I was really comfortable in my patterns. So I told myself these things were working and they weren't. And in the process of awakening, by just doing that fourth step, you talked about the fourth step, where I had to write down. And journaling is a very spiritual thing. And that's what you're doing in the fourth step. You're journaling all these feelings and situations and circumstances that you're hanging on to, that the energy is still in your body. And on probably 90% of those things that I was carrying around was the way I was looking at it was the problem. It wasn't what happened. It was the way I was looking at what happened that was the problem. So that's the process of awakening, is being able to be open to, I might be wrong. And what a beautiful thing it is today to be wrong. What a beautiful thing. I love it when I'm wrong because it means I'm going to learn something. I'm going to expand. Okay. Needs and wants.
No, I'm just like being wrong is, like you said, it's like, it doesn't determine my worth. If I say, well, thank you, I could take a look at that. It's kind of like 6 and 7. I see and I'm willing. I just want to go out and do the bidding and I want to grow. We either have growth mindsets or we've got stagnant. I forget what the other one is, like comfortable ones. And those don't stay the same. We have a daily reprieve, right? And each human gets up and it's a new day and it's a reprieve. We can be complacent and live off of yesterday, and we'll find that the more tomorrows start getting more difficult because I take a fresh new look. So in our book, it asks, there's a part of it that says, I ask God, nature, a power greater than me to divorce my thinking from self-pity, dishonest, or self-seeking motives.
Yeah.
Oh, under those conditions, this is what gets real cool. I can employ my mental faculties with assurance. So that means my reason, decision-making, my heart, everything, when you get in flow, it's pretty cool.
So cool.
Needs and wants.
Yeah, needs and wants. Here we go.
But I want to talk about that. So we all have needs and wants, and a lot. I know for me, for many, I would not share them. I hope that you would recognize it and help me, but I thought sharing a need was weak, and I didn't want because I knew I wouldn't get, which is a lie. But I didn't want to share my wants because I didn't want you, if I didn't get them. I mean, there's many things I've talked about and I'm moving towards and it didn't work. And that's okay. I get, if you have a goal, Brenda, right? And, 3 months, you want to weigh a certain weight and you want to have the guns and let's just call it that. And you get to the end and you don't hit the weight. You're still 5 pounds more than you wanted to. And you're like, that's it. I suck at all this. I'm never doing that again. But no, it's all about the journey, not the destination, not the day you hit the day on March 31st at noon. I'm going to weigh 164 pounds. It isn't about that day. It's about the journey. And it's about the spiritual, mental, and physical development that happens. And I get there and I go, well, I didn't achieve everything that I wanted to, but dang, I'm in a better place. It worked.
Yeah. I think I did a video, I don't know, or a short clip or something recently about goals and how, it's one day at a time. Just like you said, it's not, we think in black and white naturally. The
Mm.
duality is the deal here on in 3D on planet Earth. Duality is it. So when you don't think about if this, I'm at this certain way and I don't like it, I need to be at this certain way and then I'll be happy, right? And you're just focused on that instead of each and every single day, the small goal within that day that you can meet. I have to do things with really small goals. I wanted to run a marathon, right? Do you know how I started running? Between two telephone poles, and I would add a pole every day. And before you knew it, I was running a mile and 2 miles and so on and so on. I didn't go out and say, I'm going to do 5 miles today because I want to run a marathon. That's not an achievable goal. So I learned that if I set really small, achievable goals that I can do in a 24-hour period, I can have these little small successes that added together will be the big success. And if I'm off by a day, practice self-compassion. So what? Everybody's off sometimes. You can't, everybody's off. It's just the nature to watch the Schumann frequencies, when the electromagnetic field of the planet changes, so does your mood and your motivation and everything else. Moon cycles, things just change. Your motivation is going to change, and you have to be able to give yourself a break. And the other thing I wanted to say about you, because you mentioned needs, and not telling people what your needs are. There's two reasons why I would not tell someone what my needs are. One is because I didn't think they would meet them. If I asked for it and they didn't do it, now my worth is defined by your inability to meet my need. You didn't meet my need because I'm not good enough, you don't love me enough, I'm not important enough, right? I attached all this meaning to when I ask for a need to be met and it doesn't be met. I attached all this personal meaning to that, when maybe the person just couldn't do it, or they forgot, or they don't have the ability to say no. Like, it's not just all about me. There's two people here, or even a group, right? And the second thing is I walked around with a worthiness issue. I don't deserve that. I wasn't even aware of it. I was stuffing it down. So it would prevent me from telling people this is what I need. Like, I shared a boundary the other day. So someone kept asking for something that I've already said no to, and they kept asking for it. And I finally said, listen, I've already said no to this, and I'm really feeling pressured by the continued asking. No emotion, no attaching meaning, no drama of any kind, right? And they said, oh, I'm sorry, I'll back off. It was so simple.
Yeah, I said no, and then I meant it, and 2-year-olds are good at getting yeses, um, because it's like, oh my gosh, they are persistent. But you could be that way, but then somebody you come up to, Brenda would say, "Listen, I guess I didn't explain it well enough, and that's on me. At this time, I'm not willing to move forward. I don't want.
Yeah.
I'm not going to invest in, whatever it might be." And then, like you said, the person's like, "Oh, I didn't hear it that way. I got it." And some people
Yes.
don't like the 2 letters NL, but
Yes.
so yeah, your needs are just as important as my needs, and my needs are just as important as your needs, if you know what I mean. So I love hearing. So what is it? And they're all different for people.
Mhm.
I need to have like the spray patterns and my sprinkler heads that come up, and I go out with coffee and I watch it, and it's very zen, and it's like, and my neighbor, it's like, why do you do that? Because I need it. and I explain it, and a person like us says that's really cool. It's communicating, and instead of saying that is ridiculous, dude,
Mm, mm.
that was me. Like, if I didn't get it, I used to get angry at myself. Well, I thought it was the person, but like you said, I was really mad at me. And Brenda, we all get directions from products, and and they try to communicate a way for us to build it, to learn it, to understand it. And this happens on YouTube so much, because I use YouTube to learn a lot, to learn my audio and video mixing system, microphones, latencies, all this stuff. And I'm like, I type in my question, and then and people talk about other things. Like, and they aren't connecting. And sometimes in the beginning it was I wasn't able to connect the dots, and form that gap. I mean that synapse so where I get it. Those little mini ahas. Oh my gosh, I see it. Like we had in step 5. Holy gosh. So our troubles, we think. And so I realize, and then I first look at me. Am I asking it the wrong way? Am I not clear on what I'm looking to accomplish? Because I'm trying to communicate with algorithms, a search engine, and I'm learning through AI when I'm working in there that I need to be more clear and more concise on the information I'd like you to pull down for me, because I would not be. And then I'm like, well, it's not really. And then I realize I look at what I said and I go, well, I need to get more clear. And I think all this work and knowing that I am responsible helps me get sharper at this.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, you have your lens, I have my lens, and it's not the same lens. The lens is based on your experience, your 0 to 7 programming, the things that work for you. It's not
Your
the
parents.
lens. Yeah, yeah. And when it comes to other people's needs, I ask them what they need. What do you need from me? And sometimes I'll say, what do you want from me? Those are two very different things. What do you need from me? And if I don't understand the need, I'll ask them to say more about it so that I can understand it. Because again, even the word need is very subjective. A need and a want. Somebody might say, when I was much younger, let's use this as an example. When I was much younger, I needed to have a relationship in my life, a romantic relationship in my life. Like when I'm a teenager and my brain is young and I'm in my 20s, I needed to have that. Like I needed it. I don't need it today. It's something that I want. I want to collaborate with somebody. I don't need somebody to feel okay. So it's different. Right. And so those kinds of things change. And the same type of thing happens between individuals, regardless of age. What might be somebody else's need may only be a want for you. So you can't really identify with it. And so asking really what somebody needs, it opens the door to a conversation. And you can get from the conversation whether it's something you can actually do. I think oftentimes what I've done in the past is someone will say they need something. And I'm like, oh, no problem. I can do that. Not even knowing what it is they're really saying they need. So, really, again, active listening and then interrogating, questioning, getting more information. And I do that with myself too, Charlie. When I tell myself I need something, the first thing I do when I say I really need that is I stop, because that's a big red flag for me. I stop and say, do I need it or do I want it? And if I want it, why do I want it? Is it an ego thing? Is there something I'm missing inside of me? Is there an old wound coming up? Because, the needs and wants, the things that I really need, they're very small. The list of things that I want is like, woo, but the needs are very small. All my needs are met. And when I really look at needs, and I learned this from the 12 steps, when I really look at needs, and no matter what it was I was going through, my needs have always been met. My needs, my true needs, have always been met by God's source universe. My whole life.
Yeah. We need shelter. We need food. We need, that stuff. But, so our neighbors had us over for dinner and, is there anything you need? So you don't get here and find out like, the dinner or whatever, and it's kind of cool. It's like, no, I'm good. I'm very flexible and I am and all that. But my old me, even if I had one, would have said, no. That's embarrassing that you asked. Don't single me out. And my needs aren't important anyway. I'll do whatever. I don't care. I don't want to pay any attention on me or someone to question me. So, Brenda, we went to a conference recently, a group of us, and hey Shane, if you're listening, um, and Shane, I know from uh, my retail store way back. He came in as a young kid, and he's now married. He's a farmer. He has 3 kids. I mean, he's living the dream, but he was never around people. He also has macular or Stargardt's like me. So we went together, and I just watched transformation when he was talking, meeting, going, you have it too. You have the same thoughts I do. You're accomplishing this, that. I mean, it was awesome. And
Yeah.
he said to me when we talked this week, he said, I haven't smiled, laughed, and felt that connected. I can't remember the last time.
Yeah.
Because when we kind of, that I was like that. I wasn't free to share about it. I didn't want you to know, because if you knew I had an eye disease and I'm legally blind, you would think what I think, which is that I'm a loser, or I'm not worthy, or I'm not smart enough, that triggered that. So I kept it quiet, because once you knew that, but see, I'm not legally blind, I have it, but that's not who I am. That's not my go-to when I'm off. You know what I mean?
I
I
do.
don't blame it anymore.
Yeah. You don't define yourself by it.
No. And Brenda, again, I was at work, and I was talking to the lady that ran a bunch of market, all sorts of stuff. And I said, blah, 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 and we're going to do that. And I left. And I'm like, oh, good. Now I can. And she presented whatever. And I'm like, what's this? Well, this is what you said. No, I didn't. Because if we don't, if we're leaders and we own companies, and you got to work with the team and share your vision and how, and they can work in the lines of that and use their own creativity and all. And I realized that I wasn't clear. And then I realized I don't even know. I never stopped to think about it. I just kind of went at each day. And it's like, well, let's write out our values. Let's do this. And then I learned with this lady. So we would have a talk, and I'd say, now, what are you going to do? Like, how did you hear that? Is there anything I wasn't clear on? And I said, I'm really, it's really important to me that I'm conveying, I'm clearly talking about the things that, and she would then, and then I'd hear it back, and I'd want to make a change, because I'm hearing it from here, but then I heard it from someone else, and it didn't sound as good. I'm like, oh, I said that? Okay, well, let's sharpen that saw a little.
Yeah. And that's exactly what we've been talking about. What's going on up here in our own little world makes sense to us. But when you let it out of the box, right, it may not make sense to the next person. Or what I love so much about this process of communication is whenever I collaborate with somebody else, Charlie, whatever's going on in here, it gets 100 times better. It's always 100 times better when I'm collaborating with somebody else, when I'm getting, and if there's a group, I've done so much group work. It's amazing what happens in group work. I mean, I coach and I do a lot of different things outside of, doing IT work, and I'm all over the place. I'm in school, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I just can't get enough learning, right? Now I have 2 business partners, Lisa and Leanda, and we're working on a project together. We've been working on it for a while. Now, when I'm working on it by myself, I have all these ideas and I write them down and I'm all excited about them. And then we get together on Sundays and we all look at them and they're not like loving my ideas. And I'm like, but why? And then they'll come and they'll say, I remember Leanda came to me at one point and said, that's not okay. We're not going to do it that way. Like, that is not what we're about. And initially I was really defensive and upset. I'm like, what do you mean? This is wonderful. This is how it should be. She's like, no, this is why. And because she said that, now it took me a couple of hours of processing that. I used my tools. I let it bubble up inside of me, the emotions. I allowed them to come up. I released them, cleared them out. And then within a few hours, my train of thought went somewhere completely different. And what came out of that conversation was what we're building today. And it's phenomenal. It is so much better than the idea that I came up with on my own. So much better. And so the difference is, like, I'm not married to what is going on in here anymore. I know it's a fraction of what's possible. It's a fraction of what's possible. And I'm here not to run the show, right? You were talking about self-will, not to run the show, but participate as one player in the entire drama of whatever the show is. One player amongst many. And it's so great to have that, because it was my way or the highway for many years. And I found myself in a very lonely place.
Yeah, the highway didn't have much traffic.
No, none, actually. I was the only driver.
And you were doing 115, wondering why everyone sucked.
Yeah.
I know that highway.
Yeah, I know. I met you on it.
I
You're
passed
broken down. You're pulled over and broken down.
Sorry, I'm too busy. I can't help you. So, shoot, I got excited. Oh, isn't that is, I have a business partner too at the Thriving Blind Academy.
Yeah.
And I get excited. I'm a creative, a right brainer, and I can, blah, 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 and then like, I don't see you. I don't see the big energy flow coming out of the flames coming out of your head. I'm done talking. And, oh, you didn't, all right, let's end the call. And, and Molly, I do that with, and I'll come, blah, 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 and then she starts asking questions, because she can think it through, like the areas, the devil's advocate, or what happens if this, or what about this? And I'm like, no, don't do that. I don't like that side of the story, or the creative thought process I had. I used to go to her and go, oh, I gonna, there's this new thing in the body, and she would challenge me, and then I'd get angry. Not challenge me. She wouldn't do anything personally. She wanted more details, information, and clarity, but I don't want to give it, because I haven't thought about that part. And I don't like people that want to know everything. And anyway, now, instead of challenging me, she lets me do that. And within a couple of days, it's gone. I didn't take action on it. It just bubbled up, and I had to share it with someone. Oh, that sounds great, because she knows I'm going to be moving on to my next great idea.
And that's how creative, successful people think. They go from one great idea to the next. They know which ones to drop, which ones to collaborate on. That's how it works. So Shane is here. He said, good morning. Congratulations on your 1 year. Hi, Charlie. Hi, Cassidy. Yes, Shane, you did it right. He says, I don't know if I did this right. I'm just feeding the cows. And all our regulars are here. Kaylee Collins is here this morning. Kate Cassidy. I don't see Molly chatting, putting anything in the chat. Is Molly on today?
Plenty, Brenda, when it's over.
She's quiet today. I only see what people are putting in the chat here. I don't know if you can see everybody who's on, but I just see the chats.
No, you can only see the people that actually engage the chat.
Yeah. And
if somebody like watches it or is on YouTube, but they don't have an account, they're not signed in, then they don't exist. Yeah. And of course they do, but like YouTube's not going to tell us that it's happening.
Yeah. I mean, I have people that go to the Time for a 10 YouTube channel, which is on the screen right now, and watch. And they should be chatting. I should get them to chat. We should get the people in the chat to engage with one another. Anyway.
So I just want to tell you something on social media.
Tell me.
So I'm going to communicate.
Oh, something. Molly's here. Sorry, Charlie. Hey, Moll.
She heard you.
Yeah.
She went, "Oh, God." Um, Hello, all. It's great to have you here. And uh,
What were
so
you going to tell
social
me?
media is
Yeah.
it is what it is. And for years, it was you need followers, and on LinkedIn you need connections, and on YouTube you need subscribers, and on whatever they all are, on X you need Xers. And what the algorithm, it's changed. So now, because if you subscribe to a YouTube channel, as they post a video, YouTube would send it out to you and say, "Hey, Blindsided posted another video," or "Hey, Blindside is having a live stream. Would you like to come?" So that's why we wanted everyone to subscribe, because we don't get your email. We don't get that information. But the algorithms have all changed. And why am I communicating this with you? Because people are going to feel better about, if you're concerned about how many people are paying attention and subscribing, like, well, all that, it doesn't matter anymore. People with very low subscribers, but if I watch a video and you like it, they're going to now bring you more of that. It doesn't matter if you subscribe or not, because that number isn't important for some reason. Facebook, I just watched yesterday a guy, and he explained the whole thing. And he said, so keep producing content, keep putting it up. And don't worry if people aren't subscribing or following and all that, because that isn't as important anymore as just watch time. I'm like, okay, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just put stuff up there. I gave up on trying to figure out how the algorithm works, or even any kind of emotional investment in likes. It doesn't matter. If it helps one person and it's helping these people that are here right now, that's all that matters. That's all
Right.
that matters.
Job well done.
Yeah. Yeah. Helping me is helping you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that we did a good job communicating our topic today.
Yeah, we did. Great job communicating.
And this is a good practice, because I forget to ask clarifying questions. Did you hear me? Like, what did you think? All that I forget, because I can fall back into how I see it is proper.
Me too.
How
Charles.
I'm sharing it is the right way. So,
Me
and
too.
it's just because, and then an active listening.
So
I mean,
important.
that's hard.
Yeah. And just, you know what? The most important thing I want to leave people with today is, when you're looking at things just from your perspective, just from your perspective, take those blinders off and don't take anything personally. Understand that there's 8 billion of us here because we're supposed to collaborate. You're not supposed to have all the answers. You're not supposed to know. Here's a book. Here's the book that I just got. The Wisdom of Not Knowing. The Wisdom of Not Knowing. You're not supposed to know. That's why God Source Universe put so many of us here. We're supposed to work together to figure all this out.
And
It's
Brenda,
fun.
that's why they have masterminds, think tanks, conferences. That's why they bring all the salespeople together. You get, I mean, that opens up a bigger world, and more creativity, more connection.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
Use the
One of
whole
these days,
spirit, mind, body. Use the whole thing.
when we have a blindsided conference.
We will one day. I can't wait for it.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right,
Charlie
everyone.
Collins,
Thank you.
keynote speaker.
Huh?
Charlie Collins will be the keynote speaker.
Yeah, as long as you meet my terms and my fees, I'll be it. All right. Those are my needs.
Yep.
Thank you, everyone, for coming in on your Saturday morning and hanging out with Brenda and I. We enjoy it. We appreciate it too, and we look forward. Now, Brenda, do you want to just share a little before we close it out? And sorry about forgetting to ask you earlier about VIA and what we're going to do in the strength area.
Yes, the VIA Institute is, you can take a survey out there. Just go Google VIA Institute. It's a nonprofit organization, and you could take a survey. It's absolutely free, and it will tell you what your character strengths are. And it is a beautiful thing because one of the things that is scientifically peer reviewed science, scientifically proven, is that if you focus on your strengths, the things that you're not so strong on will improve organically. So and it's kind of the opposite. We say, oh, I'm weak at something, so I'm gonna focus on that. It's not actually not how it works. And there is no such thing as weaknesses. We all have assets, things that we're really good at, and we all have things that we're not so great at because that's how we're supposed to be. Right? And the beautiful thing about VIA is that it encompasses spirit, mind, body. It's not just skill sets. So go out and take the survey if you can, because Charlie and I are going to start doing, we're going to do a podcast on these character strengths, what they mean, right? And then we're also going to do a webinar of some kind on the character strengths and how to improve them. We have a couple of webinars we're going to be doing this year. School, and it's my fault that they're not out yet, by the way, because I'm just finishing up my master's degree and I'm done in May, and my schedule is going to be wide open, and Charlie and I are going to do some really nice webinars for everybody.
Yahoo! Can't wait. And you couldn't have said it better. When you focus on your strengths, the weaknesses get better. The weaknesses, the not so goods, and it was a little different when I was growing up in school. It was they tried to focus on what I failed at instead of teaching the things I did well better. And that's what it's like. You said, it's scientific, and isn't that amazing that if we do what we're good at and strengths and all that, the other things just kind of, it's like, oh, that's not, it took care of itself.
Yeah. Charlie, I don't want to spoil next week's podcast. I have so much to say about that. We're so behind the times with this idea. There's countries that their schools are designed this way.
I know.
From kindergarten, they watch the child, right? And see what they're good at. And that's what they push them towards, the things that they enjoy and that they're good at. Common sense. Anyway, that's for next week. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Don't forget, like, subscribe, share.